Hi and welcome to CX Today. I'm Susie Harrison, Head of Content, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Sean Taylor, who is Global CEO of Content Guru. So thank you for joining me, Sean.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
So today our conversation is entitled Past Lessons, Future Focus, Navigating the AI Revolution with Content Guru. I'd really like to start by hearing more about the Brain 2050 event taking place in London in May that Content Guru is running. So can you tell us more about that event and why it's important that this event is focused on AI?
Okay, so in case anyone hasn't noticed, AI is pretty big, and I think for sort of the last 3 and a bit years since ChatGPT burst on the scene, it's become really, really significant. So we felt that we've tracked sort of changes in technology pretty early. Got into cloud 20 years ago. We think back, that's a good long while. So we feel that we're pretty confident about making good forecasts into what the future might hold technology-wise. So we really felt when we ran our last big event that AI was going to become really significant. And I didn't actually realise, because time's a bit of a blur, and COVID has sort of caused a bit of a time warp as well. But we ran our last big event in 2019. So that was at the Natural History Museum. And again, it was all AI focused. And we just felt that AI was going to be really important in the CX space. So with a sort of roughly 2 years lost through COVID, things have taken shape, and if we look at it now, AI is even bigger than we anticipated. We thought it was going to be big, but we were really forecasting across a 10, 15-year horizon, and that's happened in the space of sort of 5 years. So we're looking with Brain 2050 at a 25-year horizon, and it's split into 3 chapters. So the first thing that we do is we look back 25 years ago and say, in 2000, so 25 years ago, what did we think was going to happen at a broad level in technology and particularly in AI? So we've looked, we've got somebody from the media there, Jason Bradbury, who is president of the Gadget Show, and he's going to go through and sort of talk broadly about technology, but focus on AI as it was 25 years ago, and what did we think was going to happen. So that's the sort of chapter 1, which is AI in the past. Then we go forward, and we're looking 25 years in the future. We have a futurist speaking and talking at a very, very high level around what we're going to be doing. So I don't think we'll be talking about flying cars or anything along those lines. So that's the next 25 years, and really try to sort of look and think really outside the box. And then we move back to the present, chapter 3, and that's in the immediate and the near term. So that's from 0 through to 5 years. And what do we think, looking at the lessons learned from the past, looking at some of the sort of futurist ideas and bringing those together, how do we sort of look in a sort of meaningful time frame over the next 5 years? And so that's the focus of Brain 2050.
Interesting. And I know you mentioned that a futurist is going to be joining you, the Swedish futurist Stefan Hipfors, and he's going to be giving that glimpse into 2050, hence the name of the event. But what sort of near-term developments in AI in the CX space do you think industry leaders should be preparing for now?
Yeah, it's obviously a really important question. So I think in the area that we focus at within CX, we're known as one of the sort of main CCaaS players, a contact center in the cloud. And as I mentioned, we've been in this space for a long time. So if we look at what are some of the game changers, I think it's not just AI. I think the way that we use data is going to be incredibly important. And so one of the big things that we're doing is we're consolidating data, so it's a customer data platform, bringing that data together. If we look at if we get specific about a contact center, the average contact center agent is dealing with around about 14 systems of record. So if you just imagine, we understand omni-channel. somebody could WhatsApp me. I could be on a video session like now. I could be talking with somebody or SMSing, whatever it is. And we're bringing all that together with omnichannel. So we get that. And I think over the last 10 years, that's become highly established. I think the thing that people haven't really got to grips with is bringing the data together. So how do you go from sort of managing those 14 systems of information, jumping from one system to another, moving information from one system to another? And there are big players like Microsoft and Salesforce that are partially addressing that with CRM, but CRM on its own isn't the entire answer. So we're looking with the customer data platform at how do we bring everything together. We have omni-channel, and we have this concept of omni-data, bringing that data together. But then answering your specific question, the AI piece, well, I've got all that data and I can bring it together. So what am I doing with that data? We could look at this and say data is the new oil. That's something from The Economist from many years ago. Something a term I've used a lot in sort of sessions that I've given around the industry. And then what do we do with that oil? So it might not be environmentally the right thing to say, but are we creating plastics from it, which are doing really interesting things? So I think it's the ability of AI to then go and analyze that data. Clearly, it's able to analyze vast amounts of data at high speed in a way that as humans, we just can't process in the same way. And to get those kind of insights that are there. So I think, how do we leverage that capability within AI? What we want to do is we've got to look at AI as something which is going to serve a purpose. It's in some cases, I see it's a piece of technology looking for some kind of a solution. And our view is very different. What's the business value that we look at? And if we think at the moment, people are always looking at how can I run my business more efficiently? How can I get more per capita efficiency? My people might be the most expensive part of my cost base. How can I ensure consistency and quality? We talk about customer experience. Well, what's part of that? It's delivering a consistently great customer experience. And if I have 10,000 people, then I'm going to get 10,000 different answers. But if I can use AI and bring those things together and provide some level of consistency, that's really important. So we're looking at things from that very top level. And then we're then trying to turn that into practical terms, because I think we see the spectrum of cynicism in the industry. This is going to be incredible. We're never going to have to work again. Elon Musk is right. Work will become a hobby if we choose to do it, and AI will do everything for us. Through to, I've used this stuff. I tried using a chatbot. It took me round in a loop. It gave me no useful assistance at all. This stuff's rubbish and it's massively overhyped. And both ends of the spectrum have a point. So we're trying to sort of get into the middle ground. And so the sort of things that we'll chat about are how are we seeing existing customers benefit from AI? We have one financial services organization where they do loans. They're very high value loans, can be hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. And we've been able to use AI to go through when we're questioning the loan applicant and reduce that time by over 50%. So that's substantial. If you're sat there and it's half an hour and suddenly that's 14, 15 minutes, that's substantial. It's not only reducing the time and going through and doing some of the admin work, but it's also making sure that the quality of the questioning is consistent. And so what would happen is you would go in and, let's say, as one of the operatives, question me, pass over to the underwriter. They'd then check through and say, Susie, actually you missed this point and this point. Blast. Go back, Sean, I'm sorry to have to call you again, but I need to ask you these points. So using generative AI, we can go through and make sure that the questioning is absolutely consistent. So those kind of things, then the post-interaction time is reduced. The number of interactions with the customer reduced. The customer satisfaction's gone up. So they're just all absolutely measurable things which have really, really, truly delighted the customer. We hear about delight often, but this customer is absolutely delighted with the outcomes that they've seen. So that's sort of an example of what we're going through, of real practical today and sort of shorter term examples of really using AI to provide service quality.
And I think lots of that acceptance is a cultural shift, in that people might be circumspect about some of the downsides of AI and maybe thinking it's a bit of a faff to deal with a bot, but actually we're getting so sophisticated with this technology that we can recognize how good it is. And, if you've got a sort of standard query and it will just direct you, like you said, that much more quickly than sitting listening to Ed Sheeran on the phone for hours on end.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with Ed Sheeran, of course.
No, well, green sleeves, insert the hold music here.
Yeah.
So you touched on Content Guru's history in this space, and I know that the company is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. So how has the company's approach to innovation evolved, and what role do you see Content Guru playing in shaping the AI landscape as we move forward within it?
Yeah, so it's don't want to self-aggrandize too much, but we've been sort of early adopters of technology. So if we go back over 30 years, 93, so 32 years ago, where we set up our parent company, that was based really around the excitement that we had around the potential of the information superhighway, sounding really quite aged now. But we just felt this thing of what's today called the internet, that it was really going to be big. And that sounds like a no-brainer. But you have to remember, at the time we set up the business, fewer than 1% of the population were using the information superhighway. And there were real debates. I was working in the US in Silicon Valley, and there were just debates around whether this was going to be important or not. Kind of similar conversations to the AI ones that we're having right now. So we just had this absolute conviction, no, this is going to be a game changer. And so the problem is when you start off and you're small, you don't have that sort of credibility. And then you get bigger and bigger and you have more credibility. So we pivoted and set up this entity, Content Guru, 20 years ago because we thought that cloud was going to be significant. And we sort of focused in around CX because we felt we could deliver really great service benefits there. And I hear a lot of people saying, yeah, we're first into cloud, we're the first cloud contact center. And I think, okay, 2 decades ago, I don't remember seeing you anywhere. But apparently you were here before us. So we think measurably, because we like to look at things and say, well, where's the evidence? So we believe measurably we've been into these sorts of areas really, really quickly. So we're into cloud very, very rapidly. Pure software, no hardware at all. So it was very much a soft approach. And so again, we feel that we've really led the way in a lot of sort of our understanding of how technology is going to be important. And that's the same thing when we set up the business. We started looking at how we could brand, and we set up this cloud brand called Storm, which was about 16, 17 years ago. And that's been a great name, sort of cloud disruption energy storm. But at the same time, 16, 17 years ago, we also set up another brand, which is called Brain. And we thought Brain was really cool because AI is in the middle of Brain. And so we had these two sort of really important things which were there, this cloud concept, this cloud platform, and then this AI orchestration layer, which was going to take all these parts of AI, bring them together to deliver these really incredible services. But the Brain concept was very hard to push. It was really hard to push cloud 20 years ago. People didn't get it. And it was really hard to get over that cynicism of AI. So we've pushed both the brands along. Storm's very well known, but Brain, really, we were pushing it hard in 2019. AI is going to be big. But the thing that did it for us was ChatGPT. So in a way, we've been futurists ourselves, we've pushed that technology, but we've needed to ride from a marketing perspective on the coattails of much bigger organizations, because once a Microsoft tells you it's going to be important, then you're sitting up and listening. And I think that's really, so we'll try and go in there and look to the future. But what we've learned is sometimes we need to put our foot on the gas at the moment. Other larger players start to make it acceptable in the industry. So that's our general approach to technology. So the 4 pillars we look forward to continuing with, we'll continue with omni-channel we've talked about. We'll continue with omni-data, bringing all those data together. We'll continue with what we call omni-automation. We see AI as a subset of automation. Sometimes automation is better using a fixed pathway than AI. So we're not religious. What's best for the job? And then the last one is what we call omni-customer. And that's taking effectively Internet of Things devices. End of the decade, there'll be 500 billion of them. And we see an IoT device as another type of customer. You can call me and say your power's off, or your smart meter can contact me and say the power's just gone. It does exactly the same thing. So those are the kind of four pillars that we see over the next few years, over the next 15 to 20 years, are the foundations of CX. And within that, as we said, that subset within omni-automation, we have AI.
So it sounds like you've largely got over a lot of the cynicism about AI that you perhaps encountered around 2019 or previously. Are you still hearing some themes as like biggest misconceptions that you hear about AI and its maybe perhaps its limitations or its capabilities or impact?
Yeah,
and then do you want to talk about how the event Brain 2050 is going to address those?
Yeah, I think the first thing people need to do is they need to stop outsourcing their brains to AI. They've just got to think. So I see a lot of things. This is an AI-driven contact center. And you think, well, what does that mean? And you challenge people, and they're excited. Say, yeah, AI. I need you to help me with my AI-driven contact center. So, okay, well, tell me what you mean by that. And then you see smoke coming out of people's ears. So we've got to think, what is it that we're trying to achieve? Let's not look at the technology. The technology is second. The horse is the business outcome that we need, and the cart is the technology that's going to sit in behind. So I think the key thing that we're looking at is saying, don't be at the one end of the spectrum, which is just, I've got an AI pen, everything's AI. What does this really mean? And then don't be at the other end of the spectrum, which is AI can't be used at all. Are there business applications such as I can take 50% of the admin load and push it onto a robot, which is going to do it really, really well, much faster, much cheaper, much more accurately? There's no downside to that. So prioritize the business application. What do you need to do? What's the service first? Then look at how the technology can fit in there. AI is hugely important, massively exciting, and it's a massive growth area for us. And piece those things together. So always start with the business requirement first. So it's getting people it's trying to get into that middle ground of, yes, get excited about the future, what's over the horizon. Have a look at where we went wrong historically, and then bring it back into, let's not do nothing and just say, yeah, I'm going to carry on doing things that I did 20 years ago because it's worked up until now, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, actually, now it's time to innovate. You're going to be left behind, so you can't afford to be a Luddite. So that's the whole sort of idea behind it, and we'll have a lot of people there. So we're trying to make sure that we appeal to a broad audience and to both ends of the spectrum that we know are going to be in that audience.
And do you have one particular highlight of the event that you're really looking forward to personally?
There'll be lots of interesting things. The marketing guys have done some cool things. So there's going to be what they're branding sort of AI alcohol. So it's not got alcohol in it, but it's a type of drink, and it gives you the effects of having had alcohol. So, and that sort of puts all sorts of interesting ideas in there. So, okay, who might be able to drink this? But I just like those really cool themes that the team has gone through, where it's saying, let's look at things a little bit differently. What are some cool new things which are sort of got that futurist element to it? So that's just a little kind of it's a small thing, but I just think, okay, I like those. So we're hoping to see lots of those kind of innovative ideas dotted through that experience event.
I like those because they're just little novelties, but they're the sort of things that people will leave the event and they'll still be talking about, won't they, to their colleagues?
Exactly, just stimulating thought, 100%.
Yeah, well, it sounds great, and I'm sure it will go really well, and we look forward to hearing some of the outcomes of the discussions there. So thank you, Sean, for joining me today. It's been great to hear about the event and Content Guru's plans for AI in CX. And thank you to our viewers for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, keep an eye on cxtoday.com, where we'll be covering more stories like these. So thank you.